Welcome to the Aul Financial Hour Podcast with Steve Aul. So far, about 222,000 job cuts have been announced for federal workers as part of the Department of Government Efficiency Initiative, the DOGE initiative. And there's likely going to be more, as the number is short of the 10% reduction that the White House wants. So if a federal worker came to you in their 50s and they're still a long way from retirement, Steve, what options are you exploring for them? And what's the takeaway for those who aren't federal employees?
Well, we've had some that come in, Paul and Mary. Paul is a federal employee. So we had to look at a few different things. And he, just like you, if you came in, these are the things that we're going to ask you about. Are there changes in your pension? Is the amount going to change because of the number of years of service? Those things become very important when you're talking. The one that he didn't really think a whole lot about was, what are we going to do talking about your health care benefits? Because your benefits, the longer you work, the better the benefits. So how can you affect that change? That's a change that comes in. And then I think the biggest thing that people have to look at when things like this come along, which we shouldn't have to wait till I might lose my job to look at these things, but what are my lifestyle expenses?
Oh, yeah.
You know, how much am I spending? It's that idea that we go through life, and if we've both got good incomes, you know, that budget doesn't seem to be quite as tight as it was, 30, 40 years ago when we were first getting started. And we only had so much money. We didn't have a nest egg to pull it from. We didn't have an emergency fund. Well, now we have these things. So I think that's the thing we really need to look at is any of those expenses that we currently have. Could we do without those? Are they needs or are they wants? If it's a need, it's got to stay. But if it's a want, maybe that need to be. I think the biggest budget buster that most people have today is telecommunications. I remember when AT&T used to charge like $45 a line, and we all complained about it.
Oh, yeah.
But TV was free.
Yeah.
Now, internet's more than that. Our connection with that, and then all of the different streaming services that we have.
Not to mention the cell phones that also cost $50 to $100 a month, a lot of cases.
Right. So our telecommunications bills are so high today. So looking at that, I can still remember the day when my second child came off of my cell phone bill. That was a sign of relief that they were on their own cell phone bills. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the thing we're looking at. Then the next question that we look at, can you return to work? Some jobs within the government might be eliminated, but people can come back as consultants.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility? Other job opportunities could present themselves. The thing that I like to point out is that might not be as easily done as you think it could be, because other people with your same skill set are a part of that 222,000 cuts.
Yeah.
And if they make more to get to the 10%, you could have people with the exact same skill sets doing it. So if you're a federal employee concerned about your employment and not sure what you can do as far as retirement, give me a call now. Let's go to that comprehensive retirement plan. Let my team assist you in answering that major question. When can I retire? And will I run out of money? Give us a call. Let us run that comprehensive retirement plan so we can give you a better idea of how that picture looks.
What I think is amazing, especially as technology has changed, Steve, is that you can put, based on the answers that people give you or the financial statements and all of that, you could really actually chart that out. That isn't let's say, look, you're not guessing if somebody needs $50,000 a year, whatever the number is. You can actually put that in and really chart to an exact age how long money in certain accounts will last. And just with all the AI and the things that exist out there that can tell us how many seasons of MASH there were in 2 seconds, right? It's amazing how deep you could really go to give precision on something like this.
Oh, planning software is changed tremendously, but they're still boiled down to those same things, Doug. What kind of assumption are we going to make for inflation? What kind of assumption will we make for a rate of return? And I think your plan has to be flexible enough to put those different things in there. The hardest thing that I have found when people come to sit down and talk with me, what are your living expenses? The one that runs everything. How much does it cost for you to do what you and your spouse enjoy doing or want to do in retirement? That's usually the most difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
What is that budget? Because most people don't have X number of dollars. So that's the thing. We kind of back some people into that. And then I'm going to wave the magic wand. They become clients in those reviews. We kind of narrow that down so we get a better picture of where their living expenses are, because that's what everybody wants to cover. I would like to cover my living expenses because I really don't want to retire and do a whole lot less. Most people, when they retire, want to do more because they want to travel. They want to go see the kids. They want to do different things. So those are the things that we look at to assist you in the retirement planning.
Now, one place I think it's hard to retire from unless you've really been planning hard with your savings is if you actually have made a career as a waitress or something that's very tips-based, right? And an 81-year-old waitress in Pittsburgh can finally retire thanks to a viral video. Not because of a shrewd plan, but listen to this. This server, whose name is Betty, was waiting on influencer Tammy Koznier. And she had Tammy had overheard Betty was still working because she can't live on her $910 a month from Social Security. So, well, Tammy went to work.
I have $40 in my purse, so that's what I'm going to leave her for a tip.
Thank you.
You have a great day. Be
This
safe
is
out
for
there.
you. We heard you say you can't retire yet, so we gave you a little extra.
Thank you. I mean, I worked all my life and as a waitress and still can't retire.
I'm sorry.
You take care now.
Now, that's not where the story ends, Steve, because Tammy decided to go online, and she realized that it doesn't go very far, $40, so she started a GoFundMe for Betty, and at last check, it had raised over $300,000. So how did Betty react? Listen to this. She said, guess I better get a financial advisor. Steve, a windfall like this, somebody that goes from living on $910 a month suddenly gets $300,000. A windfall could come in many forms. If someone comes to you and asks, what now? What is Steve Aul's answer?
Well, a lot of it's where to come from.
Yeah.
Because a lot of deal, I don't like if inheritance is usually the one that comes up the most.
Of course.
If somebody has an inheritance, I don't like to build that into a financial plan because I don't want your financial plan built upon your parents passing away. We got to make sure you can do it, and it just adds a little extra gravy to it when mom and dad do pass away. The other things that come in is business sale. The sale of a business. Those are other ways that we hit that. Insurance payouts if somebody passes away. So those are the things that we have to look at. So let's look back to inheritance. We're just going to say person comes into the office, they've inherited a home and approximately $800,000 in invested assets. What are the questions that they have? First question almost everybody asks me is, Steve, what's the tax consequences of this? My question comes into the fact that the house, if your parents owned it and it comes to you due to what they call step up in basis, you inherit the house and that's the cost. If you sell it within 6 months, there's no capital gains. So then the next question I usually ask them is, are you planning on living in the house or selling the house? I'm not going to live in it, but my kids are going to move into it. Get it appraised. They said, well, why would I have to do that? My kids are getting it. I said, because that way if you sell it 15 years in the future, you have what your cost basis in that sale is. Stocks, depends on what kind of account they're in. If they're in our IRA accounts, it's all taxable. If they're in regular accounts, it's step up in basis as long as it's sold within 6 months. So those are the biggest things that people usually ask when they come into money.
Steve, you've had the famous fight over the thermostat. I know you've been married a long time. Famous fight.
Never. In 41 years, we've never argued about the thermostat. Please delete this part of the show. Do not let it go out, and don't let my wife hear about this one. Yes, we do argue about the thermostat.
So I'm married to a German, and Germans don't usually have central air conditioning, okay? So she has no problem with things being a little muggy in our condo. All right, so I totally understand that. I just adjust to it. I guess I'd rather be hot than cold, but nonetheless, it's one thing in the house that's nearly half of all Americans fight over, a survey says. I think it's more than half. And comedian Leanne Morgan says she always wins the battle of the thermostat. Go figure that the missus wins the thermostat battle. Here's what she said.
This is what we talk about all the time, the thermostat. And I'll just be honest with you, we fight. We fight about it. Well, I say that. I beat him down. But I want to keep it on 68 because I want to live through the night. He wants to put it back up into the 70s. And sometimes he wears a half-zip golf pullover to me.
Okay, that sounds very uncomfortable, all right, in both cases. But kind of a two-part question, Steve, all right? So there's the couples that might fight or not agree on the battle between spending and saving, but also I don't know if that or if there's another that's maybe the most common financial, quote, thermostat fight that you've seen in your years of doing this.
I would love to have my wife want a cooler in our house. No. When she's down in Florida, I set the thermostat. Yeah, I remember my dad when I was a kid growing up. Thermostat was at 64 to 65. And when I get home, I put on a sweatshirt or something like that. I can get warmer. I will go to the fact I really don't care for 75, 76, 77 in the summer when it's hot outside. You know, turn the air conditioner down. But 68's a little cold for me in the summer because it's like, wait a minute, we got these temperatures slightly backwards when we go to it. So, but then when we get into the retirement, one of the things that I always ask, what are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? You know, what does retirement look like for you? Is one of the first questions that I ask a couple when they come in to sit down with me. And the funny thing is sometimes I'll get that look when they kind of look at each other. Well, I've never really thought about that. And then so you'll ask either the Mr. or the Mrs. And they'll go, I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to travel. I want to do this. Opposite side of the fence, I just want to relax, play a little golf, not do a whole lot. You know, my day doesn't start until 10 or 10:30. You know, so completely different pictures of what retirement's going to look like for a couple. So those are the things that we have to look at. And then I usually come into it, what's on that bucket list that you haven't done? What are those things? I'd like to go visit the homeland. If you're German, I want to go to Germany. I'd like to go on a safari. I always wanted to go to Ireland. Those types of things. If you've never been to Alaska, it's the most beautiful place in the entire world. Yeah. Some people enjoy the Caribbean. Some people hate the sun. Wait a minute, you're going to send me out to Jackson Hole in the middle of the winter? Why? It's cold. You know, those different things. But everybody's got different pictures. Because when we bring the plan together, those are the things that you've worked your entire life for. You've spent your life saving for someday. Retirement is the beginning of someday.
Oh, yes. That's a great
That's the
point.
beginning of someday. And I look at retirement as a journey. It's not a destination. And it's our job to help grow and protect a tax-smart portfolio so that you can enjoy your retirement. You're not looking all the time to say, can we do this? Can we do that? It's our job to assist you with that. I think the biggest benefit that we can come in for those of you that have saved and you're getting ready to retire and trying to figure out how you're still going to save in retirement because you look at your checking account to figure out what you're going to be able to do this year and you forget that you've got all these assets that you spent your entire lifetime building.
Yeah.
And one of the things when I have somebody in that category, I like to say the exact same thing. What I don't want to hear is further on down the road, your kids walk into my office and say, I can't believe mom and dad had this much money. Why didn't they do more? Mm-hmm. Maybe you're not going to spend it on yourself, but maybe you can create memories with your kids and your grandkids with the assets that you have. To me, that's what retirement's all about. And that's what myself and my team are ready to assist you in this journey called retirement.
We talk about the retirement side of that, Steve, but on the other side, Gen Z has really prioritized making memories. Gen Z, of course, people born between 1997 and 2012, and they're actually going in debt to see their favorite concerts. Concert tickets, of course, have gone up for sure, all right? So what's the number one reason they're willing to spend so much for? The fear of missing out. And this isn't just a Gen Z thing, of course. It happens in investing, too. People see what other people are doing. There's, in fact, a viral app right now where you could watch what people are doing. And people try to predict the bottom of the market and time out a rally and all of this stuff. So how do you keep, as a financial advisor, Steve, FOMO under control with your clients so they don't damage their retirement?
I think the best thing that you could possibly do is put together a financial plan. That's the first one. So you got something to focus upon, because with all the noise, especially right now, there's plenty of noise out there. And depending on who you listen to, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. So you're getting all kinds of feedback, friends, family, everybody that goes to those types of things. So I think building that plan, I think the biggest thing that people can have is realistic goals.
Right.
Your goals have to be realistic. And you want to align your investment philosophies going towards those goals. The hardest thing to do is to not let your emotions drive your decisions.
Right.
Because most of the time when we make an emotional decision, we look back later and say, that probably wasn't the best thing to do. And I think another thing that people miss in that fear of missing out, I want to own all of the Magnificent Seven because they've just done tremendous until the last 3 to 4 months when they've gotten killed. So you go from there. Diversify your portfolio. You don't want all your eggs in the same basket, because of the fact that at different times, different parts of your portfolio should outperform the other parts. So that's the thing that I look at to be the most important thing that you're looking at.
Thanks for listening to the Aul Financial Hour Podcast.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Aul Insurance Group, LLC, AIG. Aul Financial Group, LLC is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Aul Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not subject to investment advisor requirements. IPW and Aul Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Aul Financial Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Aul Financial Group, LLC.
This radio show is intended for information purposes only.